Hi, everyone. We're having fun over here already, talking behind the scenes. This is the Esports Trade Association Education Committee Live, Esports Class Curriculum Development. And so I'm going to pass it over to the lovely Claire LaBeaux from NASEF.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. So good to have you join us, especially many of you who are in the United States are on break right now. So I would also say like to say thank you to our panelists for joining us today when you might otherwise be off playing. But what a great topic. We have seen esports evolve over the last several years, and so many applications after school, during the classroom day. So that is what we are going to be tackling and discussing today. We have a fantastic panel of experts here. So we'll do some introductions. I guess I'll start with myself, Claire LaBeaux. I am Chief Advancement Officer at NASEF. I will once say that is the Network of Academic and Scholastic Esports Federations. And so now you know why we go by NASEF. We work with schools and after-school programs all around the world, helping them build community, helping to equip their leadership to implement esports programs that go beyond just gaming. And of course, esports and gaming is the magnet, but there are so many opportunities to teach all kinds of life lessons connected to esports. And so we're going to talk about that today. So let's go ahead and do the round robin of introductions. We have the whole Brady Bunch thing going on. So Tyler, we will start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. My name's Tyler Hahn. I'm the director of the Cherokee Public Library in northwestern Iowa. There's a lot of different Cherokee public libraries around, so I like to have that caveat in. And since we're Brady bunching, I'm going to go to, it's my right on the screen with Adrieanne.
Hello. I'm Adrieanne Moliere in Louisiana. I am the esports coordinator at a virtual charter school, University View Academy. And I am also one of the co-founders of Capital Area Esports League, where we work with schools around the Baton Rouge and surrounding areas to bring esports in person to our students. And so since we are round robbing in it, I will send it over to who's under me, Amy.
Hi, my name's Amy Harris. I teach CTE Computer Science, and I'm the Esports GM at Hart Career Center in Mexico, Missouri. I'm also on the board of directors for the Missouri Scholastic Esports Federation. We serve schools around Missouri, middle schools and high schools, to provide esports education and competition.
Awesome. And Kevin.
Bienvenido to le monde. Konnichiwa, minasama. I'm Kevin Brown. I am the Chief Academic Officer with NASEF, like Claire. I've been with NASEF since its inception in 2017. I write stuff, I make stuff, I teach stuff, and I work with all these wonderful people. Can't wait to be among you all today and see where we go.
Exactly. We're going to have to rein ourselves in, I will say, because as Johanna mentioned, just in our discussion before we went live, we were having a great time. And, you know, one of the things I love about Scholastic Esports is this camaraderie and this community that has developed where not only everyone on this call, but everyone within NASEF, within the esports world, we all have such a passion to help each other and to share our wisdom, which means both successes and failures, right? I tried this and it completely was a bomb, so don't do that one. That's as valuable as here's a fantastic program that I have developed. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into the topic today, which is curriculum. So, and I'll just throw this out there and anyone jump in first, but what are some of the esports curriculum options that are out there? We'll just start there. What are some of the options that people have? Okay, don't all jump at once.
I guess I'll go. From what I know, NASEF was really the first curriculum I jumped to. That was my first introduction. And I was able to take a lot of the content that was made by fellows and then mentors when I became a fellow and modify it to work in my classroom. I know the high school esports league, HSCL, Generation Esports, they were one of the next curriculums I went to for more specific content on esports. in CTE with the shoutcasting, the broadcasting, and things like that. And now a big one that I use is Minecraft, because Minecraft has great content for both, for all grade levels, but then for esports and for high school and all of those different areas. So that's what I know of.
Okay.
I'd jump in and give a shout out also to what Unreal Engine and Epic Games is doing. I recently offloaded a bunch of things. They're doing things internationally now. There's a lot of content that's available in multiple languages, which is great. But I'm kind of promoting it as the next step after Minecraft. When a school or an organization is really bought into Minecraft and they see their kids firing on all cylinders, you want to level up the game? Let's move up to Unreal Engine and see where that goes. That parlays into industry, and I'm sure Claire will talk about that in a little bit.
Right. Yeah, Kevin, that's a great point. Through a lot of our programs that we offer at NASEF, you can participate in, for example, a Rube Goldberg competition in Minecraft or in Unreal Engine. And so depending on what's appropriate for your students, we were chatting earlier about even elementary school esports programs, maybe not quite ready for Unreal Engine, but it's certainly a great pathway to get them started. Kevin, I'm just going to give you a minute to discuss, because you have really spearheaded a ton of curriculum development from NASEF. So can you talk a little bit about the different offerings that we have?
Sure. God, where to start? So it begins way, way back in the beginning. The idea that how can we take what we did in games and education and draw kids in? So the first ask was, as many of us know here and many on the call are listening, was to create content that bumped up against Common Core standard curricula, at least in the state of California, crosswalk later across other states. Started with English language arts, and how do we bring in elements of esports into literature and make it interesting and fun, and then bring it back to the club where we can use it to modify what we're doing as shoutcasters, journalists, broadcasting, things like that. It's hence gone into math, it's gone into history. So teachers have begun to develop, Scholastic Fellows have built other curriculum around that idea. I pioneered a middle school class that I taught to my own flesh and blood, took it to my grandson's middle school and taught a 9-week program there. So a quarter-long project that became the baseline for what we do in after school, out of school content, YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, other organizations, something that's easily pivoted, that gives a dip into the esports ecosystem and helps kids find out, where am I good? What's my cool thing? Where do I live in the ecosystem domain structure? And what might be a precursor into what I could do for life, what I could do as a really cool and inviting job. And now it's gone on to helping others take on not just aspects of the ecosystem of what we can do, but how to use different methodologies. And right now, the big sizzle in Asia, I spent a lot of time doing this, is pushing out project-based learning. Esports is nothing if not experiential learning. So it touches 8 of 15 career tech education sectors. So it's not just one thing, it's many things. Anybody can find a way to draw into it. But how do you teach it? You have to do it. How do you do it? Project-based learning. So let me set that right now. Kick it over to Amy.
Sorry, what was the question?
No, in terms of what?
Listening to Kevin, I lost it.
Wow, that's a common thread. No, in terms of what you're doing, esports in education. So I built stuff. You've also done stuff. Talk a little bit about what you've done at MOSEP.
So I was in esports for quite a while, kind of floundering on where to go with teaching it, until I joined the Fellows program and kind of started with Discord bots, because bots were something that my advisory committee for my class was saying was big for their industries that were not esports. So from there, I started looking at, what all these other careers in my building, how can we work esports into that? And really started looking at, kind of like Kevin said, project-based learning. How can we make projects that are esports that will engage our kids, but also will teach them the skills for these career paths that they're on, whether or not they wind up in esports or not. As we all know, all of those paths can get there if they choose to, or they can support them in other areas. So that's really been my focus. Tyler, that's on to you.
That's awesome. And I think that's probably a little bit unexpected for some people, right? But that is a fantastic illustration of a skill set that you need in esports. And so taking what the students are interested in, and then helping them learn how to code a bot. And, you know, we all hear this word AI being thrown around a ton. A bot is an example of artificial intelligence. And that's a practical example of how you can take something that's a buzzword and make it real and applicable for students. And Tyler, how about you? You want to share what you've done?
Yeah, actually, ours started clear back 2017, 2018, back when NASEF was just a baby. But that was actually through a grant that was meant to pair middle school students with college and career readiness skills. And that was one of the big things that we really went around a lot about, like, what were kids interested in? Where was the intersectionality of all of these common threads and interests? It wasn't really agriculture. It wasn't, I was wanting to do a cat cafe in the library. It wasn't that as much as I pushed for that with our fifth graders. It was esports and gaming, and just to watch how transformational that has been for the last 7 years. We've continued to run our middle school program and see amazing outcomes and hear stories of success from our middle school students that's gone on to high school and college beyond. Some of our middle school students were actually responsible for making our high school team possible. And then they've also gone on and launched esports programs within their colleges as well, to see how we've gone from just building a ragtag group of esports enthusiasts into advocates for this space and for these shared spaces and communities has just been amazing and transformative. And anywhere we can find an avenue to integrate that in, we're wholly there. So Adrieanne, what we were talking about is how we've built and developed our program, have had that integration in. What are your thoughts? How have you grown and developed?
I feel like my program expanded a lot quicker and a lot further behind what I anticipated it to. I had begun with diverse learners. My background is in special education, and I actually developed my NASEF curriculum module on executive functioning skills. And that was a mixture of me working with diverse learners for years, going and working at LSU, Louisiana State University, and really trying to pin down, what do you need in students? What traits are you looking for? And it wasn't necessarily that you've taken physics and that you got an A in chemistry. It was, are you able to communicate with people effectively? Are you able to collaborate? Can you regulate your emotions? And instead of really making sure that my kids understood and could articulate the complexities of the Canterbury Tales or Romeo and Juliet, we hopped into Minecraft and we did really these kind of time trials with executive functioning skills. And that's just the flexible thinking, the working memory, the planning and prioritizing, things that I think anybody with kids would agree that whether you are a student with a disability or you are not, we can all benefit from those skills. And so my scope really grew from there by adding on elementary and middle, by adding on the competitive aspect, by adding on more academic aspects. And now I'm to the point where my program started out with, I believe, 30 kids the first year that I've done it. And now I'm in my third year and we have over 350 students, K-12, meeting weekly, monthly. It's a lot of work. I thoroughly enjoy it. And then even further through that, now I work with East Baton Rouge Parish Schools with Jeffrey Harrison, who is a fellow this year, my friend. And we have expanded into competitive aspects, adding on community leaders, ambassadors, and also adding in that Scholastic portion to esports and whatever we do, but the kids get to do it in person instead of just virtually. And so, yeah, I think I'm very glad that I honed my scope in, because over time it exploded a little bit, and focusing in on one thing that I wanted the students to do gave me the opportunity to then bring it, really scaffold it more over time rather than overscope it and get nothing done.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to share screen for just a second here because everyone has talked about what they have created. And so I want to make sure that you can see how to access all of these. Let me see. I'm going to do. So let's just go to the very beginning, which is, let's see. And Johanna, I think you need to add that to the display. There we go. Okay, so if you go to nasef.org, this is our homepage, and you will be able to join NASEF for free. And this is very important because you can't access the curriculum unless you're a member. But if you're a member, it's totally free. So go ahead and go to nasef.org. And then right up here on the Learn menu, we have the curriculum option. So on that curriculum page, you will see all kinds of different sets of curricula, the English language arts and CTE that Kevin had mentioned, as well as middle school and out of school time. Health and wellness, which a lot of people do not think esports and health and wellness in the same thought. However, they connect. And just like Adrieanne was just saying, when you can put kids in an environment that they love with things they're interested in, it gives you an opportunity to teach a whole host of skills, and health and wellness is definitely one of them. And then the community library is where this curricula is published that they have all been discussing. So I'm going to drop in the chat in just a moment, but in the community library, you will see loads of options of courses and curricula that you can access depending on exactly your area of interest. And so we have Tyler Hahn. Tyler, that is a fantastic thumbnail that has been chosen for you there. Tyler created the Esports STEMs Greatness. Do you want to add anything about this particular project that you did?
Oh, yes. This was back when I was a bit more of a baby educator. So I am very used to the after school space. And this was my first foray into more of a formal classroom experience. And I really appreciated getting to work with KB as well as the rest of the crew at NASEF to sort of reflect on my practices and have a bit more intentionality. I used to be a one and done guy. I was kind of like a musket where I'm loading up all of this esports programming and I'm just going to go ahead and just do one program and be it with it. But through this curriculum, I was actually able to be intentional and run our program through multiple weeks and then do an entire season worth of programming in esports all in just one shot. And just seeing the connections and the outcomes with that has just been amazing. And from that point, we've expanded this to do more work within agriculture and literature, and then that college and career readiness as well. Absolutely amazing. 10 out of 10 stars. Also for the thumbnail.
Love that thumbnail. All right. And then we also, Amy mentioned hers already. Amy, I don't know if there's anything you want to expand on. I just wanted to show where it's available and the outline of the course here. Any thoughts to add?
Only that was, I think 3 years ago. So it's evolved quite a bit since then, but hopefully it's a good starting spot for anybody that's looking to get going in that.
Okay, awesome. Very good. And then the same, the diverse learners and executive functioning, I think you described pretty thoroughly, but again, I'm just looking at the titles of your units: manage your time and survive the night. Why do we procrastinate? I think I maybe should be taking this course as well.
For my high schoolers, I put it in my family consumer science course, and we called it Adulting 101. And the amount of parents that came to me and were like, I'm doing some of these lessons and I'm just realizing I'm a terrible procrastinator. I think we all are, and it does take practice. And that's just, I think that those are concepts. I focus that on high school, but honestly, elementary, middle, could surely do that, could surely benefit from it. And I'm glad that Amy and Tyler said what they said, because when I was thinking back, I was like, I made this 3 years ago when I was in my first year of esports, and I would have done so many things differently. I think I would have done it in Minecraft education. I got Minecraft education afterwards. That would have saved me so much time developing and creating. I could have let the kids do it themselves. But if you have access to Minecraft education, that is a good baseline. And the way I created it was for it to be able to fit in any environment, and for you to be able to switch up the rubrics and anything you need to fit your students. So that's my only what I would do differently.
Okay. Well, that's not too much. I just thought I will open up the document really quick and show you so you can see how easy it is to access and use these. So course overview, the exact content, all kinds of detail, course materials. I'm scrolling quickly, but I just want to make sure, again, you get the idea of what is available. So again, all of the...
If I just jump in, that was an important part you had, and something that kind of leads into one of the questions I think we want to talk about is why this is important. All of us embedded, whether it's career tech education or Common Core learning standards. So this isn't just because we said so, because we're in a classroom right there in the middle column. I know it's a little hard to see, but the fact that as an educator, if you're putting this in front of administrators or an educational council, your board of education that says, why do we want to teach esports? Isn't that online addiction? No, this actually has a very firm basis in education, and everything we teach bumps up against a standard that, yes, could be taught in another way. We could do another set of problems in a formula base. Yay, kids. We could take another test or have a quiz. Yay. Or we could design a bot and actually see if it functions, swear into a microphone and see if it grabs it. If it works, guess what? We did it. But there's a standard that applies to that. So I think this is the big sell. And it kind of leads into the next question I think we wanted to talk about is what makes it difficult? Where are some of the roadblocks, the hurdles that we might have when creating content? I know for NASEF ourselves, it took us 4 months to write the first English language arts class and send it to the state of California for approval. It took 5 months battling with lightsabers to get them to believe that first esports and education, how does that even get together? And then you're going to talk about the sacred codex of all the books we're supposed to use. And you want to use Avengers Endgame to teach the saga of the hero instead of Hercules? Yes, because finger snap is better than a lightning bolt, and kids are more drawn to it. So it's getting over that hurdle, but tying standards into it to say, look, this is an equivalent. It's not a false equivalency. It actually matches line by line what a state or what a district would expect. So now what's your argument? I've got something attracting that kids want to have, and it meets all of what we want them to have. Next. Let me popcorn it up to whoever wants to jump in next.
No, I'm the same way with it, and that's sort of where I came into the situation as well. I was trained in archaeology, went to library school. I'm not really a teacher by trade, but learning how to speak that language and bring things back to standards, and being like there are ways to pivot and innovate within these standards and make it relevant to today's youth. That's one of our biggest things that I think that I've taken away from working within esports and middle school students in particular. It's anytime you can bring back in their interests, that engagement just goes up so high. I have middle school students who have struggled with math and algebra, who are able to calculate all sorts of things as we work through Minecraft faster than a calculator, faster than I can thumb it into my phone or chat GPT or anything else. And it's just amazing for them to see how this is relevant to real life, be excited about learning that, going steps further, and then sharing that out with their friends and theory crafting themselves.
I would agree, and I think also kind of like how Kevin pointed out those roadblocks. My biggest issue was getting a game into a lesson, getting it in the principals, people coming into my classroom and evaluating me, they said, I don't think that that's the best use of your time. And what they didn't see until they came back and watched it again was when kids were locked into what they were doing. They were focused. They were asking me questions. They were actually, because I can physically see what you're doing in something like Minecraft. I can physically see what you're doing in another game. Whereas if we're taking a break and you're doing your math, I can't see what you're doing on your paper. You could be sitting in front of your computer, just, dawdling around. But in Minecraft, they're going to come back to me and ask me questions. Oh, Ms. Moliere, what were we supposed to do here? What are our goals? And your state's standards and their goals and objectives, that helps you, like Kevin and Tyler said, rationalize what you're doing in the classroom. Were we focusing on discussions, learning new key vocabulary? Were we learning problem solving skills, things like that? And what's super cool with esports is that you can see it, you can put it on a scale and look at the data and see how students are doing better, but it's also tangible. It helps you hit on all of your different types of learners, because not everybody learns with me talking to you. I know that could be super boring for some of my kids, and a lot of my kids can show me better than they can tell me, or that they can write me. And so the more that I did it myself, and I think I was I think I was being brave, because I'm not a Minecrafter. My kids build around me. They literally did actually build around me one time, and it was my goal to get out. It was really funny now that I look back on it, but it was really dark when I couldn't get out. But it's something that, in being brave and trying to incorporate it into my classroom, it made other teachers see how cool and exciting it was. And now they're coming to me and asking me, can you teach me how I could use this in my classroom? I think, yes, because my background is not world geography. My background is special education and career and technical education. I'm not a whiz at algebra or calculus or physics or any of that stuff, but I can show you how to play this game a little bit and how to facilitate it in your classroom and get kids to start telling me how awesome and cool your classroom is, instead of them coming to you and telling them how fun Miss Moliere's classroom is, which of course it is.
I think that's the part, is getting teachers, getting administrators, even parents to understand esports in the classroom doesn't have to be, this is the esports class. I think that's the big fear, because that's like thumb monkey 101. Oh my God, you're going to indoctrinate my kid, and that's all they're going to do is goof off. And that's what I'm trying to fight against. Whereas we all use it. And I think what we're trying to say is use it like this, as a condiment, drip it in. It's meant to be a flavoring. It's not meant to be the meal. It's not the protein source. So adding it into this way, some of the biggest pushback I get when I go out and try to teach, how do we use this? How would you build a class? History teachers. Oh, we can't possibly. History is what? It's a sacred timeline. So I ask history teachers, what's the function of history? Why do we teach it? Oh, it is the longitudinal view of human civilization over time, all learning, all things. Oh, so say that again. We're using time to assess human creativity. There's a whole sector. It's called content creation. No. That's not what I mean. Oh, you're trying to box me in. It's the study of economics and how governments develop and how wars and struggle can produce things. Oh, there's another quadrant. It's called strategist. Oh, he's trying to box me in again. But there's a way to do that. The favorite example I give is, now, what if Genghis Khan had a better marketing director? What if Claire went back in the timeline and worked with Genghis Khan? We'd all be speaking Khalkha right now. We'd all be horse lords. Times could change. It's a great what if tool if we let it. So there's a way to drop that in and say, let's go over here for a second and experiment. You can always go back. You can always go back to the book. And kids are like, please go back to the book. You can always go back to that way, but adding it as just an ingredient, a flavor module that comes in for one thing. Adrieanne, to your point, kids show better than they test. There's so much research around how many kids clench up around the idea that blank page must fill, must produce, as opposed to, can I show you what I built that looks like what you want? We get better winners every time that way. Tyler's just named himself Horse Lord Hahn. I love this.
It does. That's perfect.
Riding through the plains of Iowa.
Kevin, you had referred to a couple of different quadrants, and so I thought I would share here the graphic. Do you want to take a second and just explain what this is?
Sure. So we all think, and the great focus is that esports equals playing. And yes, while those players may be in the middle, he or she is really good at a game, it's what goes around it, and brains bigger than ours. The beloved Dr. Constance Steinkuhler and a group of researchers and actual professional players, other academicians, all came up with this idea that from that player, there are four, we'll say five. There's the invisible fifth dimension, which is health and wellness, physical and mental health and wellness, overlays all of this. But those four gray circles are these domains of practice and influence and industry that kind of rain out into kinds of jobs. We've identified 16 basic kinds of jobs that make esports function. And many of you have seen what we call the Candy Crush slide. We tease this out. There are currently 120 different kinds of jobs that branch off into nursing and health, and into law, and into business, fashion, merchandising, broadcast news, and journalism. It teases way out. Jobs that we don't even know we're going to need in 5 years can be born of this simple diagram. So everything to me keeps coming back to this. We can line this up and say 8 of 15 career tech education sectors that we recognize in the US bump up against this. So again, that diagram is what we call, the translation I use all the time is, it's my mandala. It's either going to go on this wall back here. I'm either going to paint it, or Mrs. Brown saying, no tattoos yet, but one of the two. It's going to be immortalized. It's just my favorite reference point.
We do talk about the tattoo quite a bit, I will say. So tips for people trying to bring esports curriculum into their, whether it's school day or after school program. One I heard is alignment to standards. One I heard is get the leadership into the classroom to see what's happening. What are other suggestions you have for somebody who desperately wants to incorporate esports and has run into roadblocks doing that?
I think one thing that you can do is identify what your goal is for why you want to use esports, and then kind of work backwards. And that's going to demonstrate, hey, I have a goal and here's the steps I'm getting there, and this is why I'm doing this. And it's not just because I want to play games with my kids, even though sometimes it is. But yeah, I design it out so they see what it looks like, and encourage them to see the kids as gamers beyond just stereotypes. I mean, these are students and this is part of their life. So, we need to understand that's part of who they are and meet them there.
And for us, at least, it was a whole another method of engagement. We have quite a few students who might not see themselves as athletes, and who might not see themselves as being actively engaged, where it was another method to engage and have a reason to come to school and see themselves within the curriculum and this space, which has been really, really powerful to see.
For me, my biggest issue was with my kids being virtual. That was the biggest roadblock, is accessibility, and trying not to make anyone excluded. Going the esports route was the easiest, because then I could, and what Amy and Tyler both made me think about what I did in the beginning was I made a survey, and it just asked, what do you have at home? And I made sure that I grouped those kids together. So if you only have Xbox and maybe y'all want to do siloed competitions together, you can do that. If you have Xbox Live or Nintendo Switch, you have Nintendo Online, those are capabilities that you have. And a lot of it was spending my own money and grinding, games with kids until my school took notice of it. And they couldn't ignore it because the kids were asking for more and more and more. And I think realistically, I know I've talked to a lot of people at districts where they feel downtrodden with the idea that their district would never allow a video game into their school, or their network. They wouldn't allow that. One of the first things that I did was I brought my own Nintendo Switch in and my own Xbox. And I, scarily, but entrusting my children not to break the very expensive gaming consoles that I had purchased, brought them in and let the kids use them. And the kids would then start bringing in their own controllers. And as a virtual school, that was more interaction in a week that some kids had gotten in their entirety of their high school experience. And I think when you are really facing those roadblocks with your district, there are ways around it. You don't necessarily have to do everything online. Back in the day, there were LAN parties. I never experienced one because that's before my time, but I heard they were super fun. But kids can still do that today. Bring in your Xbox, and so many games are cross-platform now, from Rocket League to Fall Guys to Among Us. My kids are still obsessed with Among Us for some reason. And bring that in and let the kids come to you. And like Amy said, see where they would want to take it. Could this become an event? Could this be, something that we do to bring in the community? My kids are big Minecrafters. So for Mother's Day, we're hosting a Moms in Minecraft Day where the kids are going to build, their instead of buying their mom flowers, they're going to build them, and then we're going to export them and 3D print them. So it's just you could really, esports is, I just love it because you are the only thing that limits yourself, because once your kids get into it, they're not, your district can't say no for long because the kids are going to love it too much.
That's great. Well, you've mentioned Minecraft a few times, so I'm just going to share one example of a program that you could bring in that NASEF manages, and that is the FarmCraft program. And as to credibility, Tyler and I had the honor of being at the World Food Prize Foundation's global conference a couple of weeks ago. And just before that, I was at the UN's World Food Forum. And here's what I will say: global leaders who are concerned about food security and concerned about youth not understanding what are the challenges, what is modern agriculture. The leadership around the world is saying, FarmCraft is amazing. We should use FarmCraft to teach our students. And again, this is a program that's completely free and available. I was telling the group before, one of my favorite moments related to FarmCraft ever was Adrieanne, one of her students, we were doing a virtual exchange. Because if you have kids from all around the world participating in something, why not have them get together and talk to each other? And one of her students, we were talking about different, I don't even remember, foods or something. And he ran outside. He said, hold on. And he came back in and brought a chicken in, a live chicken for show and tell on this stream. So there's a lot of learning, and also there's a lot of fun. And isn't that when you hook in the students the best, is when they're having a great time. This is from the previous season's challenges. You can see we give all kinds of support. And I just wanted to show one of our challenge guides, again, tied to standards, very important, and then step by step. As Adrieanne said, if you're somebody who's brand new and you're a little afraid of this, be brave, take a step. You've got a whole team here to support you, and lots of people who have taken that first step themselves and seen fantastic results. And so, that is, if I had one takeaway for what you should do, it's too early to have one takeaway, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I had one takeaway, it would be lean into the community if you're starting to do something brand new, and get the support that is available out there. In just a second, I'll drop a link for the NASEF community Discord, but that is a great place for you to plug in and get to know other educators. And Adrieanne, I want you to add your idea, the Moms in Minecraft. That's fantastic. You should share that there. I bet we'll have a ton of people doing that. So a lot of you have talked about being a fellow, but not everyone watching this knows what a fellow is. So Tyler, you were one of the first. Do you want to describe what the NASEF Scholastic Fellowship Program is?
Oh, certainly, Claire. And then there's also a comment in the chat about FarmCraft competition during the second half of the school year. Do you want to grab that real quick?
Yes.
Started?
Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. Yes, we do have right now, we have FarmCraft Connections going on for just a couple more weeks, but we will be implementing a brand new FarmCraft program. Launches in roughly February, right at the beginning of February. We'll have 3 pre-season challenges where the students go into Minecraft and they build something themselves that helps them set the foundational knowledge that will be used then in what we call the regular season. And in the regular season, we have just an awesome custom world in Minecraft, and it is built to teach the specific lesson. So it will incorporate things like impacts on the climate based on the decisions you make. So they're playing, but it's in a modded world that is designed exactly to teach the lessons. And the theme in the coming year is related to how do you make land choices? If you're a farmer, how do you decide if I'm going to grow, if I grow corn, for example, do I grow it to feed the people? Do I grow it to feed the animals? Do I grow it as a fuel source? Because all of those different uses of the same crop require a different management of the land. Or what if you don't grow corn at all? What if you decide to grow cotton or something else? So we'll be looking at different land uses in the coming year in FarmCraft.
Thank you so much, Claire. That was amazing. And going back to the Fellows program, man, I have been in this space long enough to know esports before the Fellows program, and my life would have been so much easier if this had been around just a bit earlier. I'm very appreciative of KB walking me and talking me off that cliff a couple of times where I'm like, I really can't do it. But no, he was there to be like, you can, I'm here for you. And this is how you can do it. That really encompasses how the Fellows program is set up. You are with so many different educators and after-school educators and people from even the industry at large who want to know more about the intersections of esports and education. And it's really growing. It has grown so much from not only being fellows to also mentors and community leaders who have been through this journey a couple of times now in a couple of different renditions and flavors, and have seen a few things to help you get started and seed your program and just want to generally help you succeed. That is the best part about the Fellows program, is the community of educators there to support you along the way.
I'm going to ask Amy to share your experience also, but I just want to throw out there if there are any questions that anyone has to put in chat. We would love to address those, so please feel free. And so with that, Amy, tell us a little bit about your experience as a fellow.
So like Tyler, it would have been great if NASEF had been around when I first started doing esports. So I started in 2015 and then joined NASEF in 2018, and I knew about the Fellows program, and I was scared to join it because I was sure that all of these educators were so far above me and that I wouldn't fit in. And I finally got brave and joined. And like Tyler said, it's a community. There are so many people there to support you. It's not scary at all. You do have to work, but that's what you're there for, to do work for your kids. So it was a great experience for me. I had already started working on curriculum, and my year as a fellow really helped me refine what I wanted to do and streamline how that would work best, and get ideas from other educators, work together with other educators to sort of combine ideas. So it was a really good experience. That's one I would definitely recommend. And it's, like I said, it's not scary. So don't be afraid to sign up and to try to get into it, because it's really worth it.
Be brave sounds like a theme from today also. Adrieanne, anything you want to add about your experience as a fellow?
Yeah, I share that sentiment. I wish I had joined NASEF sooner. I was like Amy, I was scared. And I see Juan Pablo is now in the chat also, who used to be a fellow and a mentor. But it was really, really super helpful. I am constantly being told and being known as the person that does too much. And I know that my weakness, my kryptonite is focusing in on one thing, because I want to do everything for everybody so that everyone is happy. But then everything doesn't turn out great. So seeing what other fellows and mentors were doing and refining my scope, like Amy said, I don't think my curriculum module would have been as good as it was had my first thought was, I'm going to create this world in Minecraft and I'm going to do it all by myself. And I didn't realize how long that took. That I'm still working on this world in Minecraft 3 years later. But it's so refreshing, I think, to be around people that have some of the same stresses and struggles as you. I think esports it's a niche area, and you kind of have to be around people that do it currently in order to get that support that you need. And I think the last thing I'll hit on, and I've heard this from fellows already saying they feel the imposter syndrome. I feel like an imposter because so many of you guys are so far ahead in your program. And I have to remind them, hey, I did this program 3 years ago and I felt like an imposter because I was a teacher in a school just, playing games with my students. And now I have a nonprofit organization. I work with other schools and districts. I founded Capital Area Esports with a current fellow. And I don't think I would have had, I hate to say it again, the bravery, bringing it back around, to do that had I not seen what awesome stuff all of the previous mentors and fellows were doing. Like Amy with MOSEF puts on a conference every year, and it's amazing. And hopefully one day I'm going to get out there. And Tyler in the library, I never understood how you were doing what you were doing, and I was always amazed at how the kids kept coming back, and it gave me the courage to go out and do more and keep trying to bring things to my kids. So I feel like I've just grown as a fellow. And I know someone is asking, how long is the program? The program typically goes from August to May, but I know we do finish up typically a little bit before that. But I know Claire is going to give more details, but fellows are announced in August. Fellows and mentors, and then the program finishes into May, and we have a really fun party virtually, and we play games together, and it's so nice and refreshing.
Exactly. I don't have much to add. I think you all have spoken to your personal experience, and I think that is exactly perfect. And you're right, it runs roughly August to May. We are not accepting applications right now. We did just announce this year's group of Scholastic Fellows, which is amazing. And I love Juan Pablo saying, sign up, you don't want FOMO. So it is free to join the Fellows program, and the amount of support that you will receive to do what you already want to do is fantastic. As Amy said, yes, it's going to be work, but it will be valuable. And so, of course, there's work involved with it. And we dropped the link for that landing page there in the chat. So we talked a lot about for educators who are, maybe bumping up against roadblocks, or how can you overcome those? What advice do you all have for administrators or leadership, Tyler, for example, library leadership, that sees the potential and wants to bring in an esports program? What would your suggestions be for them?
I always go to, there's many bodies of research out there, but a lot of us talk about, in the library space, co-design with community. There's a lot to be said about engaging with community and patrons through their interests, as well as facilitating growth and interest for your collections and services. Our library services aren't created in a vacuum. I don't think that there's anything in this world that's just like conceptualized like that. So that would be one of my things, and just being able to talk about the benefits and how this already works with a lot of your equipment. libraries are known for having computer labs to apply for jobs, to print off return labels to Amazon. There's all sorts of neat stuff going on, and you can use your existing technology for that. We actually have Unreal Engine and Twinmotion on all of our machines and do workshops for teams about how to access that, but also serve as a bit of a point where if there's free resources or assets being available through those platforms like Epics, like we're going to download those and you can continue to work on your own projects and things like that through the library. And I think it's just a really interesting concept to be able to be not only like a makerspace, but through those digital creative commons to also facilitate that sort of learning and growth and entrepreneurship as well.
That's, I think, a fundamental point. The idea that all of these extracurricular, beyond the bell spaces, the esports club, the library, whatever community organization, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, they become learning laboratories. It's an additional space for kids to take what they learned during the bell and say, good, I did this cool digital arts class, but now my library offers a space and they've got the formatting and the programming where I can crank on this and do some amazing things. Or when I get into my club, because I took this English class and because we're working on certain vocabulary and because it's got to sound like business and I need to grab a video of myself, when I shoutcast my game, which I have to do anyway, I've also now got something that goes into a portfolio, something I can use for class, but something I can use maybe to get a job in the future. So this idea for administrators that clubs aren't just a sandbox for play, it's an additional learning space. It's the cool learning space that doesn't feel like school, but they use all the same things.
And I'll jump in there because I think maybe Amy will have experienced this as well doing content with career and tech ed. There is a host of funding. There's CDF funding. If you're trying to bring in an internship opportunity, you can hit on STEAM and STEM funding. If that is a concern or a struggle, but like also Tyler and Kevin said, a lot of the resources we use are completely free. It is free to download Epic Games. It is free to download Unreal Engine. I think Maya is more so the standard. Maya is very costly, but there's Blender. The amount of students that I have that just have Blender on their computers and they are creating cool things at home and they come in and they ask, oh, would it be okay if I 3D printed this? Of course, yes, that's totally fine. But the careers that hits on, it's like Kevin said, clubs are not just a sandbox for gaming. It is really, and I think that's the biggest takeaway to note with esports is that as the club manager, as the general manager, as the coach, whatever you are, you don't have to be a gamer. You are the facilitator. You're driving the success of the direction of the program. The program is going to get propelled forward depending on, the students and their engagement. But as the adult in the room, how can we bring this over to something else? I know my kids just want to play Minecraft all day, but I could say, no, guys, we are going to take 10 minutes and you are going to build your mother's, we're going to build them a bouquet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to 3D print out all of your pieces and you are going to build that and that will be your present to your mom. And they will love it. It's something, it brings in community. It brings in all these areas in STEM with the 3D printers, with the resin printers and things like that. Also just, the geometry of it all. Have I scaled this correct? That's math. It's bringing in all of these different areas, but it's incumbent upon you as the facilitator to drive that.
I would build on what they both said, what Tyler and Adrieanne both said about going with what you've already got. So my classroom is Perkins funded basically because I teach CTE. So I teach video game design with Unity. So we already had the game design computers, which is how I originally got started in esports. My kids were like, we've got these, why aren't we playing games on them? So, look within your district, find out what's already there, what could be there if you added, some courses to go with it. Also, make sure that your tech department is on board. So if you could have the opportunity to go talk to some other schools nearby about how they're doing their program. A lot of states have state orgs like MOSEF, or I know Louisiana does, Iowa does, NASEF, obviously. A lot of those programs are NASEF affiliates. So get out there and see what other schools are doing. You don't have to build your own proof of concept. They're already out there. Just get out there and find them, bring them back to your community. Find the spots in your district where you can build it, find the staff that want to get on board, and they don't have to be gamers. I mean, I'm a gamer, but I don't play the games that my kids play, but I can help them with their communication and their leadership, and show them how to tie everything back to careers. So we've said it for every other question. I think you have to be brave. You have to go out and find out how you can make it work for your kids. So that would be my advice.
And I'm sorry, I forgot, because Amy plugged, most of we all have our affiliates in our states. I think for the most part of NASEF, there's MOSEF in Louisiana, we have LASEF. Tyler, what do y'all have in Iowa?
We have the Iowa Middle School and High School Esports League, as well as like NASEF. There's plenty of great opportunities available through that. And then we're also close enough to multiple time zones where there's been times where I flirted with, what about Garden State, or what about like Wormsec for the West Coast as well? Because being after school, sometimes time zones for what we have going on in the Midwest might not work best with student schedules.
Yeah,
Don't forget, I was going to say, time zones go north and south. You've got friends in Canada, you've got friends in Mexico, Central and South America that all parallel, and they're also NASEF clubs, NASEF orgs, and they're open for business. They're inviting us to come and play with them. So keep that in mind.
And there's Texas, there's Florida has one. So, even if, I think everyone in NASEF is very communicative. I think at the first time I reached out, I've heard from Claire, Kevin, y'all were like some of the first people that I reached out to. And if y'all, I think the best part about reaching out to NASEF did for me was to point out, hey, in Louisiana, there are these people that are also doing what you're doing. And now I work with those people. And it's the best environment that I've ever been in. So definitely reach out to, the people at NASEF and reach out to your local NASEF affiliates. They're there. We're here to help.
Absolutely. If you sign up, I showed earlier how to sign up. Click that orange button, join now. Part of that form, you'll see a little drop-down menu that says, would you be part of a local affiliate? And it lists off all of our affiliates. So make sure that you click that button, and then you'll be connected with others in your area as well. So we are just about at time. So I'm debating what to ask as the last question. So I will let you choose. I had 2 questions left that I wanted to discuss. One was, where do you think we're headed with Scholastic Esports? And the other was, share a favorite story. So you get to choose. Do you want to share a favorite story, or do you want to be a visionary? And Tyler, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'd like to think about where we're going next. I'm really excited to see some of the different trends, particularly with Farmcraft, and about how that's getting governments and more people outside of our ecosystem really excited about esports and how that intersects within education. I think that there's a lot more opportunities like that available out there, and I think that there's going to be a lot more growth for more of these issues, which are sort of cropping up. I think that esports will be very prescriptive to being able to help address.
Amy.
Well, I agree with everything Tyler said, so I'll go with a favorite story. One of my best ones to tell is I had a girl that joined my Overwatch team as a freshman. All the other kids were older. She would sit clear on the other side of the lab. She'd be in comms, but she wouldn't talk. She was a great player, but she was, really nervous, really shy. And towards the end of the year, I told her, most of your team is graduating. I'd really like to see you step up and take a leadership role next year. And she was just panicked, did not want to do that, could not even imagine talking on comms, much less being a leader. And she came back after the summer was over, and she came up to me the first day of practice and said, Ms. Harris, I thought about it, and I want to be the captain. I'm going to do this. And from that day on, I mean, it was a learning experience, but she stepped up on comms. She started being the shot caller. She started recruiting. She worked with everybody every week on what to do. She wound up going on to play in college. And I was so proud of her, but also just really proud of the community we had built and what esports could do for kids to really get them out of their shell and thinking how to build their soft skills for the future. So that's my story.
That's awesome.
I think mine is kind of similar to Amy's because I think Tyler hit on everything with where we're going. It was just a student. I've had him since he's a freshman and now he's a senior and he'll be leaving me in May. And I'm so sad. But he really, honestly, when I talk about the bravery that I gathered, it was really from my kids. The student was super excited and intent on Minecraft. And I told him, I said, I'm just not very good at it. If you wouldn't mind. And he really took everything and went with it. He's my community leader. He runs a lot of our Minecraft competitions and he teaches me. We were creating our server last night. We were getting it up and running and he goes, and I'm like, I'm so sorry that I'm so slow. And he's like, no, it's okay because you're learning. And I was just like, oh, you're going to be such a good teacher one day. And it warms my heart that I see him training the juniors to continue to teach me so that the club keeps going. And I'm excited for it.
That's awesome. Okay, we're over time, but Kevin, do you have a favorite story?
Quickly, my favorite story is the future. It's watching the aha moments. Wherever I go, I'm fortunate to work globally with NASEF. So when I dive into a place, in a language, in a culture with a thing, and they see the word in every translation is the possibility. When they see what this could be, and they can do it. They're not where maybe we are now. Even if I brought Japan to Iowa and showed them what you got in a library, they don't have esports in a library. We think Japan is this mecca culture, and they don't have some of the facilities we do. And they see what we've got, and they think we're so behind. But then they see what our kids do, and they see how involved and how it's different from their rote memorization system. But kids have better output and they're engaged, and they start to think this could be a thing. So my favorite story leads to where I think it changes the whole teaching conversation. We're on to something that drives engagement, which drives process, which drives, college and career readiness. That's the big goals I see. And that's just what I want to keep pushing.
Right. Yeah. And I think the college and career readiness, and then also it's the personal development that I see in so many students. Every time I visit an affiliate or a club and go into a classroom, or we go and host a tournament, and the stories again and again are about the personal development. And when you take a child who has not had confidence and you give them confidence because you say, you know what you like is important, keep doing it. Let me help you do it. How can we equip you? That changes their trajectory. And it just, I don't know, that it makes me so proud to be part of this organization. Okay, we are over time and I apologize for that, but we just had too much to say. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you are in the United States or somewhere that celebrates Thanksgiving, we wish you happy Thanksgiving. And to all of you everywhere, it is a great time to be thankful always. Tyler, Amy, Adrieanne, Kevin, fantastic information that you shared. We have lots of links in the chat, so please do visit us at nasef.org. Email us info@nasef.org if you have any questions. And of course, the Esports Trade Association is here to support as well with local chapters as well as a national association. So make sure you check out their resources also. And thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks so much. Wonderful conversation. Bye, everybody. See you next time.